Hey Ryan, good morning.
Morning, John. How are you today?
Everything's good. And you?
Doing all right, my friend. Doing all right. It's a gorgeous day here, so can't complain.
That is great. That is great. Happy to be with you again here and with our audience and excited to share this topic today. And we propose to change something today, the dynamic, because last week we discussed about how to start working with the AI and those things, but you talk about an important topic, the AI strategy. So this time we change the role. I will make ask questions to you because you are our strategy expert here with all your background. But before that, for our audience, let me say, hey, I'm Jan Bernier, founder of AnniQ, and I'm in Colombia. I'm here with Ryan McCall, AnniQ CEO. But tell us more about you, Ryan, your background that is important for this session.
Yeah, thanks, John, and thanks everybody. As John said, I'm CEO here at AnniQ. My career, my background is kind of varied, starting from being an engineer and working through that in sales and marketing and business development and leadership and so on and so forth. But really, what I think is relevant to today is, I've worked in very small teams and startups like AnniQ, as well as large enterprises, companies with tens of thousands of employees and many, many divisions and business units and all that sort of thing. So the need for any strategy, whether it's focused on AI or any other sort of business, um, is going to really depend on what your how your company is shaped, how big it is, how diverse it is, where it is geographically, what industry sectors, products, services, all of that sort of thing. But thankfully, I've had a lot of experience and a lot of varying companies in that way. So hopefully, I can shed a little bit of light and advice on this topic.
That is fantastic, Ryan. Today, again, our topic it is AI strategy, focused on startups, small and medium business. But before I start with the AI side, Ryan, I would like to propose to share a concept about what is a strategy and for those business. So because maybe not everybody has the same idea and concept about the strategy.
Yeah, everyone knows the word strategy, but at its core, what it really means is having a plan, but also having a plan that your entire team is on board with. A strategy only goes so far as your team willing to help implement it. If you're a solopreneur, right, that's you, that's your one person. You can have that all in your head or on a napkin and just go. But beyond that, you're a small to medium business, a small to medium enterprise, a startup, you have a team, and that could be a team of two, a team of 10, a team of 200. But you still need everyone bought in on your plan, what you're trying to accomplish, how you're going to accomplish it, and in what time frame you're going to accomplish that. Those are kind of the three main pillars of what a strategy needs to look like. And again, it's going to cross the entire organization, right? You can have different levels of strategy. You could have the high level strategy of a business, right? We need this product, we need to sell it and market it in this way, and we need these financial results, and we need these people to do that, right? That's a high level strategy. But then within your different departments, you're going to have, smaller strategies, right? So, like within a sales team, your strategy may revolve around, sales development, outbound email campaigns. It could revolve around phone calls, direct messaging, social, relying on inbound. There's all sorts of different things, third parties and you know, uh, you know, AI SDR agents, for an example. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do that, but each department will then have a strategy. But each department's strategy is in service to the high level corporate strategy. And corporate's a loose term when you're an SME and maybe you only have 20 employees, but it's still the high level. So that I think is really what's important about defining strategy, right? What you're going to do, how you're going to do it, when you're going to get it done, top down, and then individual smaller strategies to support the overarching one.
That is amazing, and thanks for sharing. I want to complement that idea with something that I learned maybe 3 years ago. I was in a conference as attendant, and the speaker was Marcelo Cataldo. I think he is from Uruguay. On that time he was the CEO of a big telecommunication company in Colombia, and helped that company to growth again after a crisis. And he explained that the strategy, it is about resign and say no to many other distractions. It's about keep focused and learning to resign to many things that could let us don't get that point, that north that we are looking for. And I like that way, because you said here it is an alignment between that corp. And I think with 20 people today, with the power of AI that could introduce our next part of the session, a 20 people company could be a big corp today, and having bigger revenue and efficiency, and have a global operation. So that is part of the big change that we have after the Gen AI wave we are living. So it is resign, have that alignment and that north focus or north star metric that you could have. I love that part.
I think that's an absolutely excellent point, John. Blocking out distractions is part of the strategy. We talk about it a lot inside AnniQ. We're firm believers of you can't be everything to everyone. So, uh, customer feedback is a huge portion of building a small business or a startup or anything, right? You want to make sure you're giving your customers what they want and what they're paying for. But you also can't take every piece of customer feedback and turn that into a new feature or a new product or a new service, because eventually you get to the issue where your product does a lot of things and nothing super well, because it tried to be everything for everyone. So that's 100% a good portion of strategy is blocking out the distractions.
Great, great. Let's move to the second part, Ryan. And told us about the AI strategy. What is an AI strategy? How companies that are starting today with this AI work, how they can build the AI strategy.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, it's really important to understand where you need help in a business, right? Are you a single person trying to, build the next great product, service, application, or do you already have an established business and established revenue and an established team? So first of all, what's your goal? Are you trying to augment your existing team that you have? Are you trying to build something from scratch with very little resources, or are you somewhere in between? Now, you mentioned that 20-person business in this new world of AI that we're living in could be a large corporation in a few years, and I fully agree. There was an interesting article maybe a few months or a year ago about the prospect of a future company, a one-person, $1 billion company, because they build everything using AI. Not sure we're there yet, but I do agree that a 20-person company is no longer confined to being, a few $1 million business. It can be a tens or hundreds of millions of dollar business by leveraging it. So that's a long way to come back around and say, okay, well, how do you define your strategy? Well, let's focus not on the solopreneur or the one-person $1 billion company. That's kind of not in this purview. Let's focus, as we always do, on startups and SMEs. So I think obviously, first of all, it's like, who do you have in your team, right? If you've got, one person doing sales, one person doing marketing, and maybe one or two people, engineering and product, right? That's a very typical startup type size company. And then maybe a CEO that does a little bit of everything. Or you're an SME and you've got established departments. Each department's got, say, 4 or 5 people. Really no difference. Because the idea here is that, first of all, you want to do everything. Your goal is to, as any business, is to grow and to generate revenue and profitable revenue, right? Well, the easiest way to do those things is to improve your efficiencies. How do you improve your efficiencies? Well, do more with what you have. So does that mean hiring more people or giving the people you have tools to do their jobs faster and or better? So I think that's really the main goal here, right? So what we want to do at AnniQ is we want to grow and we want to use AI to help us do that and help us do it faster and better. You know, tools like what AnniQ offers, and Annie helps that dramatically on the marketing side. Other tools out there, like AI customer service, AI sales development reps, and AI coding tools help other departments do those same exact things. So what are your goals and where are your shortcomings? Do you have a one person marketing team, but you need to do more marketing? Perfect. AnniQ is here for you, right? AnniQ is part of that strategy. Um, but then on the sales side, maybe you have a much larger sales team. Well, that's kind of a different topic to take a look at because do you need all those people? And now I'm not sitting here advocating saying fire your entire sales team and replace them with AI sales reps, but it'll gives you some leverage to look at how are people performing. Can I try some AI SDR tools? How does that compare from a performance perspective to the existing team that I have? And it allows you to come to really quick realizations of um, these tools are either going to replace, enhance, or maybe they're not useful. So I'm kind of getting off topic here a little bit, so I'm going to circle back real quick. I think the most important thing, what I said earlier, is figuring out where your needs are that you can improve your efficiencies, right? That's number one. Number two, I think the most important thing in a strategy is due diligence. So with generative AI and all of the different AI tools that are coming out today, all those tools are spawning other tools, right? Startup after startup after startup, people releasing AI agents and all sorts of things. So diligence is really important because a lot of these companies aren't going to exist tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. And so really making sure that whatever tools you're using are ones that are well professional, well built, and you have that um, assurance that this tool isn't going to be something you invest time and money in, and then it's just going to fade away because, well, what they were doing, Chat GPT can do 90% as well, right? And so that's really where you need to be very careful.
That is very interesting, and I want to highlight with all our audience that part of make the due diligence, and not only if that company will exist or have that probability to exist in 1 year, in 5 years more. It's also important about the data that you exchange with them, because if you integrate AI and solutions, that is an amazing tip to start for a company. Not everybody needs to build their own AIs. So you start working with ChatGPT, with AnniQ, with other solutions. You make the due diligence, you validate that option to keep working and existing in the market, but also you need to review all the data that you exchange. And that is important because as part of your core strategy, and in that case marketing, sales, maybe finance in other cases, you are sharing part of the know-how, secrets, um, um, information, sensible information about your clients, your employees, also your full business. And you need also to review that part. And again, I think something that we talked last session, it is you need to find companies that offer to you the AI and have that match with your business culture. And that could be important in that part. Um, what if, or let's say, Ryan, tips for two different scenarios. For companies that today has, let's say, more than 10 years in the market, they are not in the digital way, how they could start today. Let's say companies that are, I forgot the name, well, they are not updated today. And for companies that no more than 3 years that wants to keep growing faster and accelerate in the market, they are on the AI and digital way. So how those two kinds of companies will embrace AI and work on the AI strategy?
Really good question, John. For the latter, so the smaller, the younger, the digital age company, right? I mean, it's almost a no-brainer, and it's easy, right? You identify your pain points, you research your tools. I mean, you can. The great thing is you can use an AI tool to research AI tools, right? You can craft a nice prompt into any sort of generative AI tool, whatever your cup of tea is, ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, doesn't matter, and you can just ask them to, hey, why don't you give me a summary of some AI marketing tools that do this, and this, and cost less than this amount per month, right? And they'll do that for you. They'll you know provide you a maybe not an all encompassing summary, but you'll get a summary of some tools, right? And you can always iterate to ask them to add more and more suggestions, and like that's a great way to start. Use AI to research what AI tools that you can use, and then when you're already in that digital age, you can just start adopting them. But, and this will come back to you here in a second, the next step is, how do you integrate them into your current workflows? Because otherwise, if they're not integrated into your current workflows, you're not really leveraging the otherwise efficiencies that you hope for by using an AI tool. um, on the other hand, the we'll say the non um, modern, non-digital company that's a little bit older, maybe very used to, you need to sell more, you hire a new person. You need to market more, you hire a new person. Engineering isn't getting new products or releases shipped fast enough, you hire more engineers, right? If that's your mindset and that's how you focus, um, that's tougher, right? Because it's going to start by either the leader changing their mindset or someone helping them to change it. So I find that as a really difficult proposition, because it's going to be dependent on who's in charge, right? And if we're talking a department versus the CEO, whatever, but in the end, they need to make that decision and either come to the conclusion themselves or someone help them get there, that trying out these new tools is can and will be beneficial to the company. And in that case, you probably start slow, right? You take something that maybe is a little more low risk for you. Maybe you license an AI coding tool and you stick it into a sandbox to help try and build out a new feature that goes nowhere near your production code, right? And see how fast it can do it. Maybe you bring on a single AI SDR that is just told to respond to incoming email inquiries and nothing more, and you see how that behaves, right? So that is what my number one recommendation would be, is someone has to be that visionary who says, this is the direction we need to start going. And then you start small, right? And then you build from there.
That is great. Um, I want to complement here with tips from different vision, from the startup world here to how you can also work and accelerate your AI strategy. My first thing it is, many companies has fear about what AI can do, and if AI could make a mistake and how to manage that, and sometimes that could create a reputation problem or something in the market. And the first thing it is, we need to be aware that AI is a learning process, so we'll make mistakes. Just check the message that platforms at AnniQ, ChatGPT say on the bottom, on the footer. the AI can make mistakes. So that is something that sure will happen. But the next thing it is work with an early adopter and sandbox mindset. And that means start, as you said, slow and in small groups. So use a sandbox if you if you want to go with market, a sandbox with your customers, or start with a small community, your social media or channel with less audience or less impact. If you want to start internally, start with a small team or group of people in your company and make that sandbox. And first, learn to deal with that process of AI. And if you are using generative AI, you need to have in mind that you cannot control the full process. You can control, for example, the prompts, some inputs of the process, but there is on behind something that the AI will make for you and give to you an answer. And you need to work to make that something that you could repeat. And in those cases, also small changes will will rise in that process. So start learning to deal with that process, because you are not hiring, when you hire an AI on behind, you are not hiring something static. You are hiring a learning process. You are hiring something that is improving and having some changes every time. So start learning that part, losing that fear, and move smaller in that process.
Oh, those are really good points, John. And I think it reminds me of the exercise you and I did recently, asking generative AI to create a LinkedIn post using the same generative AI, the same prompt, and resulted in wildly different results. That's not to be meant to something scare anybody, but John made a really good point about, you know, the generative AI isn't necessarily consistent. You can ask, generative AI the same prompt worded just minorly different ways and get different results. Um, you're going to get different results from different generative AI tools. You're going to get different results depending on how you've told the generative AI to respond in the first place. So consistency is important, and that's why we fully believe at AnniQ that generative AI tools, the more generalist ones like again Claude, ChatGPT, Grok, are fantastic, but they're maybe not the best tool to implement directly into a business, specifically for things like, I want my salesperson to be exactly like this. I want my code to be written exactly like this. I want my marketing materials to be exactly like this, because that's where more specific AI tools like AnniQ and others supporting those other departments, they will have that level of consistency that you otherwise don't get from a general generative AI tool.
That is amazing and a good path. It sounds as a good path to start losing that fear and testing and exploring AI solutions. I want to say hello. I don't know how to say that name. Yossi, that sends and is watching us in YouTube. Thanks to be here. I think we are run out of the time, Ryan. So uh, if you want, or let's say you are starting a new business, you have a small team, 10 people. It is a totally new business that you found today in August. How you embrace AI today, and how you could build your strategy to move faster and give us some insights to close our life today.
Oh man, well, so real quickly is, I mean, John, as we both know, startup is, it's a sprint and a marathon, and so the sprint portion is hard because you're going to be trying different things all the time. But I think the important thing is, if you're one person, you have your specific expertise, right? If your specific expertise is writing code, great, write code, but also, use a coding AI tool to help you write code faster, right? Vibe code, as they say. But then you're also going to need additional support, right? You're going to need sales and marketing support. So maybe an AI SDR to automate responses to email inquiries and to send outbound emails so you don't have to focus on that. If you have more than one person, right? Where does everyone's expertise fall? And again, this isn't it really isn't that much different from a small startup versus a large company, right? You still have you still got to accomplish all the same things. It's just a matter of how many people are you already paying versus how many things that you want to get done. And if you have very few people, leverage more AI tools to help get things done faster and better. You could theoretically have a 5-person company that grows to tens of millions of dollars just because you effectively use, leverage, and integrate AI tools from the very start. Whereas if you're a larger company, right, it's probably not going to be that pronounced of an effect, but it's definitely going to increase your efficiency, improve your productivity, make your team's life better. And I think I'll stop with the last thing I'd like to say is, this is a little off topic, but you know, our topic here is AI worth the risk, the skeptic's guide, right? But also talking about AI strategy. There's a lot of talk about, AI is going to replace people's jobs. I think what really a lot of people should be focusing on instead is not is AI going to replace people's jobs, is AI going to make people's jobs better? And what I mean is, in startup world, it's common to work 60, 80, 100 hours a week, right? But by leveraging AI tools, maybe you don't have to anymore. Maybe a normal person who works 40 to 50 hours a week, maybe you don't have to anymore. Maybe you can be just as or even more productive and work, 2/3 as many hours or half as many hours. I think that's really what's more exciting to me, other than saying this AI tool is going to replace my entire workforce. That doesn't sound exciting to me at all.
Uh, I want to highlight something that could be hidden in that message that you share with us. And it is starting with an AI strategy also is about change the patterns and the business as usual that we have in our business. And we cannot embrace AI and build an AI strategy, hire AI tools to keep working and executing in the same way. That is create a new patterns. And when I say new patterns, it is build new flows, new process, new journeys for your employees, for your clients, indeed for your business. And that could be my way to say bye today and wish you a very nice week. It is don't use AI to replicate how you execute today. Start using AI to find new and for sure more efficient and better ways to execute and solve. And that could be the first point to find and be aware of this potential for your business that AI could give. Because Ryan mentioned many times here, a small company with 5 people, 10 people could be today totally different global operation, could create revenue, tens or hundreds of millions, profitable company, and more quality life. Yes, quality life for everyone in that environment, in that ecosystem. And that is about AI today. It is not copy and paste the business as usual. It's rebuild and reinvent your business today. So, well, Ryan, we are 1 minute to close our session. I want to say you thanks for this lovely conversation today. Many things to learn, to reflect, and well, give wishing you enjoy this week.
Same to you, John. Much appreciated. Great way to close the call. And thanks to everyone who is watching live or watching this on recording. So have a great day. And thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.